So how do you know you're in the right place? Well, this masterclass is for you if you are, that should say, tired of being tired and you want to know how to help yourself. And you, for instance, have a burst of energy late at night. Perhaps you have no energy during the day, and then all of a sudden you have it late at night. It's also for you if you find yourself eating sweet or salty things when you're angry or stressed, or in fact particularly tired. And it's also for you if you've had enough, really had enough of feeling swollen. Swollen in terms of swollen or bloated, or just feeling that something's not right, and you want to solve what you may interpret as adrenal exhaustion. This is also for you, this masterclass, if you want to develop a stronger relationship between your mind and your body, so that you're no longer run by those overpowering emotions such as anxiety. So this masterclass is not for you if you've no interest in discovering the source of your exhaustion and you don't want to do anything about it. And it's not for you if you shut too much out and you believe you have no influence in solving difficulty. It's also not for you if you believe most things in life are other people's fault. And it's certainly not for you if you never say sorry or own making a mistake. It's not for you if you have a yes but no but list of excuses when it comes to transformation. As with all of my particular sessions, this is about transformation. So make sure you watch this masterclass to the end, because I'm going to share with you how, for instance, hibernation is an important factor with chronic fatigue, and why knowing this could actually change your life. So you'll also learn how to instantly feel safe in your body without having to work hard to change something, which is absolutely something necessary, because when you're completely whacked out and exhausted, the last thing you want to do is have to work hard to change something. So today's agenda is I will absolutely show you how to solve what I call the stress babies impacting your vibrant self. Obviously, I'll be explaining what that is, what your stress babies are, and how those impact your vibrant self. I'll also show you how a bruised inner world leads to tired out adrenals and what to do about it. Plus, how developing the mind and body connection helps you repair the damage such things as guilt and criticism does to your inner world. It does incredible amounts of damage that we are totally unaware of, but does show through exhaustion and in exhausted adrenals. So just for a minute, indulge in this. Imagine how that will feel when you're not constantly thinking about what you haven't done, or that you are feeling guilty for because you're too tired to complete things. So imagine for a moment how that would feel if your thoughts are no longer overrun with thinking about what you haven't got done. And when you're feeling guilty because you're too tired, just too done for to complete things. So imagine how it will feel when you're not having to do that anymore. How much more energy you'll have, how much more space in your head you'd have. Okay, just allow yourself to indulge yourself just for a minute, and how nice that would feel to not have that. And the best part is you'll discover how to feel less anxious, because with exhaustion most certainly comes anxiety. Even if you're not particularly an anxious person, exhaustion creates that level of anxiety, because we can't finish, can't get things done, and you feel that as part of your system. And of course, much more. Now, the division between the mind and body can be very subtle, okay? And mostly we're used to ignoring our needs, but being very aware of other people's. We do that always as a sensitive. We notice other people's needs, think about them. It may even chase your thoughts around, but you're not sure, or you can't get in touch with what your own are. Now, the trouble is, when this occurs, when you feel that you are well aware of everybody else's needs and you can't find your own, trouble with that is when it occurs, you feel marooned. And you feel marooned on an invisible island. And that invisible island is fatigue, overwhelm, and your brain is full. And when it's full, when everything is full, you can't concentrate, you get irritable. And that's when you find that you eat your emotions. Literally, you eat things in order to deal with certain emotions. Now, I promise you, you're going to be pleased that you joined this presentation today, because there will be at least one piece of information that is really helpful to you in terms of managing exhaustion and managing yourself as a sensitive. Because that is one of the things that we struggle with as sensitives, is that for many, endless tiredness and exhaustion. So before we go into that, here's a little bit about me. Maybe some of these things you don't know. Well, my courses, books and programs have helped thousands of intuitive sensitive people in 121 countries. I am a published author and my books are printed in 5 languages. Now, this is the consciousness line. This is my speciality. And tonight we are looking at the first step. So if you look at where number 1 is, see where that red number 1 is at the bottom there, this is your foundation. Okay. So like a house, you need a strong foundation on which to grow as a person, to grow in terms of your interests spiritually, and to feel that sense of deep connection to yourself, and of course that sense of deep connection to others, and use that sensitivity and that empathic self wisely. So the area that we are looking at in this particular session is crucial. It's very important. And without it, we find that our foundation, the foundation of who we are, tends to wobble, or it is easily knocked off, and you're easily knocked off your center. So this is a key area to understand, to work with, and if necessary, adjust. So I host events in the UK and Ireland. So some of them are both small and big ones and large ones. And I am absolutely blessed to work with lovely, lovely people, and those that you are, as intuitive sensitives, the most incredible and lovely people there are. I have, as an example, been sent hundreds and hundreds of documented stories of transformation. Not that I have created that transformation. It is a case that I have inspired you to create that change and that transformation for yourself. Something that I am very proud of, in terms of not as far as I'm concerned, but as far as you are concerned. And these are just some of the stories of people's transformation that are coming onto your screen. So you obviously can't see me in this particular session, because it's much easier for you to be able to concentrate and absorb some of the information. So This is a picture of me. So here is me now. This is a very recent picture of me and my family, my boys. So it's a very recent picture. And here is a picture of me. That is me, yes, indeed, exhausted and ill. Now, you may have seen this picture only very recently. You may have seen it the lead up to this particular webinar session, because you will never have seen this before. It's one of those things that I have very much kept hidden, tucked away, and forgotten about. So this is me now. This is me in my 30s. This picture is at least quite a few years old. As you can see, I'm a lot healthier now than I was then. And you know, there is a big reason for showing you this. And my big reason is that you get beyond the "it's okay for you, Heidi. You look as though everything is fine for you. You've got a lovely family. You look healthy. I feel absolutely done for, exhausted and ill." Well, here you go. It's proof that I know exactly what that feels like. So again, just indulge yourself for a moment, okay? Imagine yourself, the possibilities for yourself 2 years from now. As an example, when that photograph of me was taken, I never imagined that I would be able to get anywhere near to a place of feeling healthy and feeling fine. So imagine yourself 2 years from now, from where you perhaps feel like I did, exhausted, with no will, and certainly no energy, to where you can be in 2 years' time. Imagine, right now, indulge yourself, imagine where you want to be in 2 years. The self-esteem and the confidence that you want to have, the changes in yourself, in your body, and in what you're able to do. Just imagine yourself 2 years from now. The types of things you want to add into your life, and the wellness that you want to create. You self-indulge it. It's not outside of your reach. Not at all. Truth is, there were worse photos than the one I just showed you of me. I was at one stage twice that size of that photograph that I've just shown you. But I don't have a photo to show you when I was twice that size, because I wouldn't allow any at that point in my life to be taken. Okay, so there isn't a photo to prove that, but I was even a lot more stressed, a lot more done for than that photograph that I've just shown you. And imagine what you can do with your transformation point, like I did, okay? Now, I will tell you now, there was no diet. There was only inner work. I only did the inner work. So imagine what you can do. Okay, I did that inner work on my own. Imagine what you can do just with the information that I'm about to give you. So allow yourself to indulge. Have you ever felt like this? You move forward, then something happens to sabotage your progress. I certainly felt that at that particular time in my life, that every time I moved forward, then something happened to sabotage. So have you ever felt that? You move forward and then something happens to sabotage your progress? Or you feel like everything feels as though you're pedaling backwards, because every time you're trying to pedal forwards, everything feels in your body like you're pedaling backwards, because your body gives nothing. It won't give you anything to work with, so you feel forever that you're pedaling backwards. Or you wonder if there is anyone to care for you as much as you care for them, because even though everything in your body feels like you're pedaling backwards, no one else seems to really take that in or notice, or in actual fact you hide it from them because you're busy caring more about them than you can ever imagine that they would do the same for you. And of course, if you wonder if it's normal, because you got so used to it, I certainly did, to be that exhausted when nothing seems to feel like it's possible to change it. Or you struggle to go forward, yet you can't go back. There's nowhere to go back to, but you still struggle to move things forward. Or you're fed up with being told there isn't anything wrong, but you know there is. You know there is something wrong with your body, but you've been told that there isn't anything wrong. Nothing shows in blood tests. You've been to the doctor a dozen times and you're strong. So why does it feel like your body is falling apart? That you're asking yourself these questions. So how do you deal with chronic fatigue and solve that never-ending exhaustion? Well, for starters, when your body is truly done for, your immune system limps along. It really does limp along. It finds it difficult, it struggles. And when that happens, you are attracted, as an example, to things that will give you a short-term boost and create swelling. As an example, it's when we eat that sugar in huge amounts and don't care, because we need something to stimulate and fire up our system, or something to feel better about. So if you have the sugar monsters, it's not your fault. Your body is tired, and you're trying to push on through something when there is nothing left to work with. So before we begin, it's important for me to ascertain with you is, what am I defining as exhausted? Does it mean a little bit tired? What is my definition of exhausted? Well, when you're exhausted, especially when the adrenals are involved, you feel, as an example, wired and tired. So you're wired, yet you're really tired at the same time. So for starters, you struggle to wake up. Yeah, somehow or another, late at night, you're bouncing around. Normally wake up around about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So you struggle during the day, and certainly when it comes to mid-afternoon, you're really struggling. Yeah, late at night, well, you're up, fine, and bouncing around. You may also find that it's difficult to relax. Okay, you might be exhausted, but you can't relax. That it's really hard for you to focus on any area of relaxation. And when you're exhausted, you're also what's termed as TAT, which is tired all the time. okay, with no obvious way to solve it. And this, of course, impacts your self-esteem, your anxiety levels, and productivity. And you also start to hate your sensitivity rather than use it for good. Why? Why do you do that? Because you're a strong person, and you're a strong person feeling weak, and that frustrates the hell out of you and leaves you feeling you have half a life. So in terms of exhaustion, I'm also defining it as that you're often so tired that you can't think. You can't think straight because you're so tired. And the exercise exhausts you. Exercise, we've all heard, should absolutely invigorate us and make us feel alive and feel well. And so why does it make you feel worse? Why does it make you feel so awful? And why does it mean that exercise actually perhaps puts you in bed for days rather than gets you moving and going and makes you feel healthier? Well, because your adrenals are whacked out and tired. So exercise, therefore, will exhaust you. This is what I'm terming as exhaustion. You'll use sugar as a pick-me-up. Sugar in its different forms. You may say to me, well, actually, I don't really drink sugar. I don't really eat sugar, rather. But perhaps you drink sugar, and you might drink sugar in terms of wine. You might drink it in terms of beer. You might drink it as literal fizzy drinks. You might find yourself eating sugar in terms of pastas, carbohydrates, potatoes, chips, that kind of thing, because the body still absorbs it in the same way. So whether it is actual refined sugar that you're consuming, or that you find yourself using it in different ways where that carb attraction is very, very strong. So exhaustion, in this way I'm looking at it, is that you find yourself using sugar as a pick-me-up. And perhaps you have health issues that are difficult to diagnose. So you've got things going on, you go to your doctor and you say, I just don't feel well, something's wrong, I can't get things moving, I can't get things going, but you've had all those blood tests and nothing shows up. Okay, this is what I'm defining as exhaustion. So, how do you get rid of all exhaustion? How do you get rid of it all? Well, exhaustion is sometimes there, especially for a sensitive, to teach you how to moderate. So sometimes it is there because it is helpful and it is useful, okay? You would otherwise see yourself as, at times, as superhuman and use everything you have for the benefit of others. That is part of your sensitive nature. It is also a strong part of the empathic self. So if exhaustion wasn't there sometimes as a useful tool to help to teach you to moderate, you would otherwise see, yes, indeed, yourself as superhuman and use everything you have for the benefit of others. Sometimes the exhaustion is there to help you learn things such as boundaries. Okay, now the key is to know when exhaustion is a communication tool for good and when the communication is you're too far removed from your own needs. Chronic fatigue happens when you're numbed from knowing what your system is trying to communicate. For some people, that numbing started very early in life, especially in the search for things such as approval, where you were searching for it, where it rarely either came or it was reluctantly given. Okay, often this is it is a place for chronic fatigue to start its bedding into your system. So, what is my first tip in terms of your keys to solving never-ending exhaustion? Well, my first one is to train yourself to feel safe in the body. Okay, so you might think, well, how do I feel safe in the body? And what are you talking about? Well, looking at this, we'll look at it from the position of what stops you from feeling safe in the body. Recent research, very recent research into chronic fatigue syndrome, because chronic fatigue is becoming a strong issue for people in their lives. And it is a very strong subject area as far as the sensitive is concerned. So recent research into chronic fatigue shows that people diagnosed with chronic fatigue actually have the chemical signature in their blood of an animal in hibernation. Now, this has very specific meaning for you, okay? Now, the University of California, this is where this research came from, the University of California found that in the blood of these people with chronic fatigue, what is usually found in hibernating worms, it doesn't mean say just it's in worms, but in hibernating animals, but in this example, in hibernating worms, when the metabolism adjusts to a difficult environment. Okay, so this comes up in these hibernating worms when they are adjusting to a difficult environment. Now, this chemical signature was found in the blood of those with chronic fatigue. This hibernation, what does it do? Well, it allows existence. Okay, so this chemical signature, that's the same as what's found in worms, and it adjusts their metabolism to manage a difficult environment. This hibernation allows only existence, nothing more. Now, this is an important thing to remember, okay? Where your system is allowing existence and nothing more. It permits survival under environmental stress, but with severely curtailed function, okay? And a severely curtailed function and quality of life. So this particular study showed that people with chronic fatigue have this chemical signature that is the same as the hibernating worms when they are their metabolism has adjusted to deal with a difficult environment. And this hibernation chemical signature only allows for existence, nothing more. No thriving, just existence. It permits survival under environmental stress, but absolutely severely curtails function and the quality of life. So that study suggests this is a response to the environment where the body adapts to enter a state designed for extreme conditions. Okay, I'm going to say that again so you remember this, because this, I'm going to ask you something in a moment about your state of hibernation. So this study suggests that this is a response to the environment where the body is adapting to enter a state designed for extreme conditions. So what does that mean? Well, this is about you now, right now, and if you've got that pen and paper to write this down, what first comes into your mind? What in life took you into hibernation? What stress has your body said, oh, enough, and is trying to survive? That pen and paper, write down, if you've got that, or you can type it into something, write down what it is. As I ask you that question, what it is that your body tells you, what in life took you into hibernation? And what stress has your body said, oh, enough, and is trying to survive? Now, that stress might have been recent, but most likely it was a stress from a long time back, because your body has been in hibernation for too long. Now, the feeling safe in the body means, what does it mean? Number one tip, which is to feel safe, training yourself to feel safe in the body. Why? Why is that so vital? Well, feeling safe in the body is essential. Because feeling safe in the body means the release of the hibernation state. That release of that hibernation state to feel safe then with flourishing. You try and flourish with your body still in hibernation, where it's still in fear, where it has shut something down because there is a deep fear tucked away in there. You try and thrive in that. You may have forgotten what it was that sent your body into hibernation, but your body hasn't. And you try and push it out of that. It's not going to happen. It will exist. It can't thrive. So training yourself to feel safe in the body means the release of the hibernation state, okay? To then finally feel safe with flourishing. Feeling safe in the body is essential. It makes sure that no matter what is happening in life, you have the ability to cope. Knowing who you are is about an internal faith. When you actively participate with that and you have that, you feel more secure, less inclined to overcompensate, and where your body can come back into a place of balance. Or maybe it's never actually experienced that because it's been frightened all of your life. But what in life took you into hibernation? When I began to train my body to feel safe and train myself to feel safe in the body, was the day in which my system began to heal. It came out of its hibernation. It started to use and utilize its metabolism and work properly. Now, what I've just told you will probably take a little bit of time to digest and to work through your own system, because you wouldn't have been told it in that particular way before. Okay, maybe you've been told it in such and such a way. Oh, well, you're stressed, you're this and you're that, and you've got to get rid of your stress and la la la, and not live a life where you're having to worry about this and it's stress, stress, stress. Well, yeah, okay, it's stress. Easier said than done. But when you address that area of why it's gone into hibernation, and then you start to train yourself to feel safe in the body, you will be amazed at what happens. So how do you train yourself to feel safe in the body? Starting to think that and think, well, okay, fine, Heidi, how do you do that? How do I train myself to feel safe in the body? Well, you start with kindness. You start with understanding and treating yourself as two people. Now, I will explain what that means. This is key. This is key to feeling safe in the body, training yourself out of the hibernation, but also training yourself in terms of dealing with anxiety in its many different forms. And one of the forms anxiety shows is in numbing. So you train yourself, okay, with kindness, understanding, and treating yourself as two people. I'll explain that. You will have two parts to you. You'll have the one that you know well, the one that you interact with on a daily basis, and then you will have another part of you that you don't know so well, that you don't particularly connect with. And perhaps at times when that second self is active, you actually make it wrong, or you say it's less than, or it's useless, or it's irrelevant. Now, that second person inside, as soon as you do that, it will go further into hibernation, and your body will it'll say, the environment is too tough for me to deal with. And it will go further into that place of hibernation. It will continue to shut your body down, as it did to me, as you saw in that photograph, until you start to participate and change that. And you do that, you start to train your body to feel safe with kindness and understanding, and treating yourself as two people. And that second person, you work to coax, okay? You coax it, and you appreciate it, and you understand it, and you appreciate that it works differently to you. And when you start to do that, you start to train yourself to feel safe in the body. So indulge yourself for a moment. Imagine what that looks like to you, okay? Where you're training yourself to feel safe in the body, and what it feels like to have your body out of hibernation, where it feels like it does things such as absorb light, warmth, because one of the key things with exhaustion is you can never get warm. When your adrenals aren't working well, you feel the cold. You feel, and one of the key things of hibernation is that the heart rate starts to cool, and the body starts to cool. It's one of the things that the body will do to hide from predators. Again, it's a primal thing. But one of those key things around hibernation. So imagine what it would feel like with your body out of hibernation, where it absorbs light, it absorbs heat, that you feel warmth, and it feels like your body has permission to feel vibrant. Indulge yourself and bask right now in that moment. Just feel it. Feel what that feels like, for the possibility of allowing your body out of hibernation. Your body out of its stress state, out of that hibernation, and how it can then allow exhaustion to be a thing of the past, a managed thing of the past. And maybe you've never had that, okay? Maybe you've never had that opportunity where to feel vibrant and to feel that you're safe, that the body is safe, that it doesn't need to hibernate or hide. Let yourself indulge the possibility of that just for a moment. Pause in your life right now to indulge that. Now we're moving on to tip number 2, in terms of your keys to solving never-ending exhaustion. So this may sound like a very odd question. Who are your stress babies? And what is that? Well, really, it's about noticing your rescuer in action. So tip number 2 is, who are you questioning? Who are your stress babies? And then noticing where your rescuer is in action. So as an example, sensitives hold and nurture things, okay? Sometimes that nurturing is stress. So what are stress babies? Well, it takes 9 months for a human to gestate, as an example. It takes 9 months for a human to go from it to become a being ready to come out into the world. So our general instinct is to protect and nurture for whatever it is to grow, okay, to protect and nurture so that something can grow. So what if you were growing a stress baby? Okay, perhaps you have many stress babies that you're growing, and maybe one of the ways it is expressed is your stomach is swelling. Every time you eat, it bloats, and your stress baby is growing. You're nurturing is this stress. You're looking after that stress. It's growing, and every time you eat, it shows itself. How do you release the stress baby? What you are nurturing, that stress that you are nurturing? How do you release the stress baby that you are nurturing inside? You do that by noticing your rescuer in action. Now, when we empathize with the physical and emotional pain of others, which we absolutely do as sensitives, what happens is specialist brain cells start firing up. Okay, those are what's called mirror neurons. They start firing up. And when you're doing this on a consistent basis, guess what happens? You get stressed, tired, and the body goes into fatigue. So release the stress baby you are nurturing inside, and you do that by noticing your rescuer in action. Now you'll notice your inner rescuer when you look for the persecutor and the victim. Okay, the persecutor energy and the victim in your life. So who are the persecutor and the victim in your life? Look inwardly. Look inwardly first. Always look inwardly first. And see or sense right now your inner persecutor. And whose voice do you hear? If you've got that piece of paper, pick up that pen and write down the name of whose voice it is that you hear. The victim, as an example, your young innocent self. What is that? That's the stress baby. Okay, the victim is your young innocent self, the stress baby. Notice when they grow. Is it time they came out? And what holds them from coming out, from that energy coming out? Perhaps you didn't even know they were there. But just allow yourself to see or sense what holds them, that stress baby, from coming out. And it may even be some of the stress your whole system holds, environmental stress that your system holds from very, very early in your life. But let yourself feel it for a moment. Just let yourself feel the possibility of releasing that. And again, indulge yourself. Imagine what that looks like to you when you no longer carry your own or other people's stress babies. Okay, because you're not necessarily just carrying your own stress baby, you're maybe carrying someone else's. And imagine what it looks like to you when you are able to stop rescuing and start living, okay? What does your life look like? Where does the exhaustion go? How does it disperse? And as you indulge in that thought, feel yourself breathing easier. Feel yourself breathing deeper. Feel your body expanding. So allow yourself to imagine what that looks like. Indulge yourself, even if it's just for a moment. Just indulge yourself with that. What your system feels like if you have no more stress babies. Or you're not nursing them, taking care of them, keeping them. Okay? Where that energy starts to actually come out rather than stay in. And we move on to tip number 3 in terms of keys to solving never-ending exhaustion. Now, tip number 3 is to stop absorbing. When you absorb, you create a bruised inner world, which leads to tired out adrenals. So what do you do about it? Well, to start with, let's face it, it's near impossible to stop absorbing as a sensitive. It's something that we just do. The trouble is, absorbing is making you ratty, irritated, overwhelmed, and frankly, exhausted. Inner growth then feels like you're getting somewhere but nowhere. So yeah, absolutely, you want to stop absorbing. So how do you do it? How do you stop absorbing? Deal with the cause, okay? And that cause is stored guilt and criticism. Stored guilt and criticism packs in our system over our lifetime, but it's also generational. And in some households, these two energies, guilt and criticism, were survival mechanisms. And they still are, perhaps. Hence the hibernation. That if guilt and criticism was a way of being used of keeping people in check, in line, or to keep people away from hurt as a survival mechanism, as an emotional survival mechanism, it may have been there for generations. In some households, it has been there for generations. And it's still there. It's still something that's used. Hence, your systems need to hibernate. So these energies are, in theory, very sensible to give up. So, again, indulge yourself. Imagine what that looks like to you. What your life looks like if you're no longer in that position of carrying excessive guilt or worry over criticism. So allow yourself to feel what it feels like to not give a damn and not to be worried that whatever actions that you take in life, somehow or another, you're going to be criticized, or you've got fear of that. And so therefore you absorb everything. And then before you remember, all those, your focus becomes that dark spot, the bad part. And you can't think of the light parts, the nice parts, because your mind is overcome by guilt and worry about criticism. And imagine what it would look like to you if you no longer had that, if you no longer had that excessive guilt or that worry over criticism. Let yourself feel it. Again, indulge yourself. Indulge yourself for a moment. And maybe you've lost sight of where that is, that feeling of absorbing guilt and criticism. And you're now numb because you've lost sight of it. So imagine then, if that's the case for you, what it would feel like in life if you gave up feeling numb. You might think, oh gosh, and then I'd be overwhelmed with emotion. Well, maybe you wouldn't be overwhelmed with emotion. Maybe you'd actually start to feel. So imagine what your life would feel like if you gave up feeling numb, and that you started to feel safe in feeling again. What your life would look like. Indulge yourself. The session is about you having that opportunity, that chance, just to feel what that would feel like. That relief, the relief, even if it's for a few moments, from feeling the pressure in your body, from feeling that overwhelming, endless exhaustion, and that endless responsibility for that exhaustion as a sensitive. Just imagine what it feels like for a minute to not have any of that, to feel free of it. Just let yourself indulge the possibility. Type it in, share it with others who are on this session. Type in what it would feel like, as what your body would feel like without feeling the pressure and that constant tiredness and exhaustion. I know exactly what that has felt like. And often, it's really quite a relief just to share that and have the opportunity to share that as far as other people are concerned. Often we keep that pressure inside, and it's like a pressure of secrecy. It's a pressure of shame. For what? That somehow or another that our pressure, our exhaustion in life is some kind of shame. Well, imagine what it looks like for you if you no longer had that, any of that, that it was no longer part of your life. Just let yourself feel it. Share with others on this session what that experience would be. Because you'll find even in that, it's a relief. Okay, it'll make things lighter, it'll make things feel easier. So the question is, where do I go from here? Where do you go from here? So where do you go from here as far as solving this is concerned? Well, if you consider the question, how would you like me to help you transform your mind and body connection? If that is something that you think, yes, actually, I wouldn't mind giving that a go, then type yes in the chat box, okay? If you would like me to help you transform your relationship with stress, overwhelm, and fatigue. Okay, I can see some yeses. I can also see some of the things that you're putting in there as far as what it would feel like for your system to no longer feel that huge amount of pressure and stress. Well, in short, you have two options, okay? You can, with what I've given you in this session, you can absolutely take that, go it alone, and spend that quite a lot of time through trial and error, just focusing on those things. You can gain an awful lot from that, and focusing on trial and error, like I did for a huge period of time. And perhaps during that time you might actually feel more tired en route. Okay, I think you will absolutely agree that you can find a massive amount of value inside this presentation in terms of what I've given you to think about. May also feel quite overwhelmed with it all because it's different from how you've handled things in the past, which is absolutely 100% understandable. So you can either go at this alone and do what I did and try everything and maybe feel more let down, or as I did, went through a period of time where I felt completely useless and totally exhausted. Or if it's right for you, you can take the second choice, which is learn the proven system from somebody who has made the transformation. As you know, I'm not an observer of life. You can see for yourself, I have made that transformation. And by no means am I perfect, by no stretch of the imagination. And I'm not going to say to you, oh, my health was rubbish and now it's perfect, because it's not. It's not perfect. My system got into that place where that high level of exhaustion and fatigue and inability to function got so bad that it permanently damaged my immune system. So yeah, I'm not going to say to you that I'm perfect, and I'm certainly not going to say to you my health is perfect, because it's not, and it never will be. It's too broken. But it's 100 times better, 100 times better than it was. All the aspects of life that I give any help or advice on as an intuitive, sensitive person is because I have followed that through. It's not a theory, it's things that I have done. It's not an observation, I have done that. But I will say to you that that transformation did not come naturally. Going from that position of being very unwell to being who I am today, that didn't come naturally. I decided I wanted out of feeling my body was falling apart. And I went to get it. And I'm saying, so can you.